Welcome to Searching for the Question Live. This is our episode 15, and I welcome you in something that is going to be, I hope, fun and different, because as always, we are experimenting and we are playing around with tools, learning in the process and sharing what we learn, including the mistakes that are, I think, always funny. Yesterday, if you were here to watch the episode with Salim Ismail, we remarked on the fact that young people are required to build a new world, but that is not necessarily defined by your biological age. It is definitely defined by your mental age. There can be people who are 20, 25 years old, and they are already as if they were 60 or 70 because of how set in their ways they are and how unable and unwilling to learn new things, to experiment, to have fun. And there are people who are 50, 60, or 70, and it is absolutely as if they were 20 years old because they are curious, they are able to measure and face risks, make mistakes. They have a very healthy disregard for authority, and the opportunity is there for all of us to become like that. There is a name for it. It is called neoteny. Neoteny is the maintained life in adulthood. And I like the word. And I hope to be neotenic myself. So let's start with the trick here, the mind fuck, as my son Cosimo would say, or my friend Emil. And the trick here is that you think you are seeing the bookshelf behind me, the usual bookshelf that you see in the various episodes. No, it's not the bookshelf. It's a photo of the bookshelf. It's a photo that I took before raising the green screen, which is, of course, just a cloth of green color behind me. We worked a little bit to make it stay tight, and we put the lights so that it would be as uniformly illuminated as possible. And of course, since we have the green screen, I can do other things. I can be in this beautiful, pretty abstract living room. It is so abstract, it could be actually fake, not in the sense that it is not there because it is. It could be synthetic. Maybe there will be another episode about AI. Actually, I'm sure there will be many episodes about AI, and we will talk about how AI can synthesize scenes as well as faces and other things. And I didn't want to start with something like this because then I'm sure somebody would have said, all right, David, why don't you stand up and play something on a piano? I would love to be able to play the piano, but I can't. So their choices cool. I thought it would be quite funny to actually just jerk you around a bit and put the same bookshelf that you are usually seeing behind me. So the opportunity of playing with these things, and Emiliano is liking what he's seeing because he is saying that the camera looked great. Well, yes. Actually, I since the lights are behind me, I had to put another light in front of me, and maybe I found a good balance. So we are always learning, and I am going to play around more with the green screen, because I can actually use virtual cameras like the one that you saw in some of the first episodes, where I had here, well, wherever it was, on my left or right, I don't remember. Also because you see things straight. Depending on the camera I'm looking at, or the screen rather, I see them mirror image or the same orientation as you see them. I can't tell. Anyway, I had some slides on my above my shoulder, and that was done through a virtual camera setup. Now, what I can do with the green screen, now that it works, is to insert behind me other things. Not only images, but it can be an animation, it can be a movie, it can be a YouTube video, it can be any kind of thing. And I still have to learn how to do that, but that is what I'm going to be doing next. So green screens are cool, and they can be applied, of course, in various ways. And a lot of the movies that you see today are acted out in green rooms, not only green screens, but where the camera can move around the actors, and anywhere the camera is looking, the background will be uniformly green, because the actors will be positioned in synthetic environment. And we will do the same when we spend a lot of time in a virtual reality or an augmented reality environment. What is the physical layout of our room will matter less and less and less. And the virtual components will become more and more important. And it is going to be interesting, with a lot of implication, not only in terms of a design or interaction, but also psychologically, of course, ergonomically, and so on. So the second thing that I want to talk to you about today will take a bit more time, because if the first was just a mindfuck, once over, this may be just a little bit more complicated to realize. And this concerns the possibility of using StreamYard, which is the streaming platform that we are using today, in a manner that wasn't necessarily the one that the builders of StreamYard had in mind, even though maybe it is on their feature list of upcoming enhancements. I didn't look. I am planning to point them to my YouTube video from this moment onwards to disclose with them how I am, quotation marks, hacking the platform. And the hacking here is because I have two of my team members who usually help me physically in the same environment, Mauro and Emil. Welcome to both of you.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Hello, it's nice to be here.
Here with me virtually, right? Now, they are here not only because I wanted you to meet them, and Emil evidently decided that he didn't want to be seen, even though I am inviting him, if possible, to show himself and wave a hand and say hello. The reason I wanted you to meet both of them is very practical. And it is what you saw as the second point, team directing. I am trying to do a lot of things, and I am, of course, very fine with stumbling around and the fact that not everything is completely smooth all the time. However, in the desire to making it smoother, I came up with the realization that the StreamYard platform is actually very, very flexible, much more flexible than you would normally expect. So let me share a Chrome tab that will show you what I am talking about. Not this one. This is actually the tab that I am seeing where we are doing the live streaming, right? And you see that I can show the screen, and the usual Drosty effect contains the video, but I actually prepared a separate one. I just have to pick it out from my own list of Chrome tabs, hopefully catching it, and it should be then this one. There you go. So you see, it is the same in sync system that you saw before, and only the difference is that you see that here we are not live. You are seeing the backstage of the StreamYard streaming environment, and it is set for recording only instead of streaming to the various destinations. It is interesting. I could actually pick one or more and say, go. And I don't know what would happen if Facebook and YouTube are set up for taking in multiple parallel streams for the same account. It's guaranteed that thousands of people are streaming live to both platforms simultaneously. However, on different test your viewing by that, I may test it in another day on my own. But what I want to show you is that it is actually possible to enter on different Chrome tabs the same platform with the same account. So what came into my mind is that what I could do is to have Mauro and Emil use my account. So I gave them my username and password, and actually StreamYard sends you an email with a code, so you don't even have a password, so that they could enter as me, and they just renamed themselves, right? That is the display name that you are seeing. And why did I do that? Because one of them is now doing the clicking around of the various screens being shared. So, for example, I am now sharing the screen that is streaming alongside the screen that I'm showing to you in a strange loop. So if Emil decides that he wants to show only my video, he will click on the big icon. If Emil decides that he wants to show my video with a small icon and the screen share on the other side, he will do that. And if he decides that he only wants to show the screen share, he will click on the big screen share icon. So he is the director deciding what are the cameras that are used at each time. And the other function, which I asked Mauro to play, is the using of the various banners. So in StreamYard, you can define many different kinds of banners, and we have, for example, a banner that says for the. We have another banner that says, please join the Discord community that we created by visiting this URL. Or that says, sign up to my newsletter, or you are welcome as a ticker tape to become a supporter on Patreon. So all these banners are pre-defined, as well as it is possible to create some on the fly. So yesterday, when I was with Salim, I was doing all of this myself. He was saying things, and I pulled up the name of the book that he was quoting, or I actually put in quote marks a say that he was citing, and so on and so forth. As well as I was jumping around on the various screens because I was alone. And now, if I say something like, so I want to show you on the screen what is happening in the branding section of StreamYard, and Emil pays attention, or his internet connection actually works, and it is, then he will move over to the screen sharing without me having to do anything, with hands-free, right? And I am not using a third hand to do this at this time. So this is just a humble example of how this specific platform can be used in order to delegate the different tasks, working with the banners and the branding. By the way, you may notice in the upper corner the possibility of showing an icon, which is the logo of Searching for the Question Live, and showing the sections of our being together. The first part that I spoke about, the green screen. The second part that I'm talking about, the team directing, as well as deciding exactly what type of screen to share, what type of camera to show. So up the screen, I don't know what is going to be on the resulting stream, but locally, my computer is really having a hard time keeping up with what I'm doing. It is going a little bit crazy, and I'm not blaming it. It really is being pushed to its limits. I may have showed you the gimbal already, but I don't think that at the time when I showed it to you, I actually used it. So instead, now I want to use it. So bear with me. I will turn it on, and there you go. You realize that it is on when it starts moving by itself, and horizontally, the phone doesn't recognize my face, and we go somewhere to join the show. Can I ask Emil to please paste in Facebook Messenger the URL of the show? Maybe I can do it on the fly as well. I should have prepared this faster or beforehand so that I could click on it without having you wait. So there you go. I pasted it myself, and I am now clicking on the show URL. Actually, I have to copy it because I need to enter using Safari on the iPhone, and it would be Chrome on Android phones. So I am now joining. I will keep myself muted, and I am giving myself the name David on iPhone. I did mute it, but it came back. So let me see how we are. Okay, there we go. Emil, feel free putting it on the screen. Okay, so this gives me the opportunity of showing you my setup as well. So this is the computer I have in front of me, and rather than me having to click all around, and Giovanni, yes, sharing this knowledge is fun. Making mistakes is fun as well, and having you guys participate is a privilege. And then what do we have here? Is a microphone, right? What I am using to talk to you, and I will now go around a little bit in the room, and hopefully you can hear, even though I am going to be farther. I just received a message that there is still an echo. I think you are hearing of the faint volume from the iPhone. Let me see if I can disconnect it further. Oh, okay. I have been muted. That's good. Muted. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we are doing it like this. If there is a little bit of echo, sorry, apologies. Here is an iPad. No, show the other one, not my belly. Here's an iPad that I didn't connect now because it further taxes the Mac's CPU, and I didn't want that to be the case. I see that the camera is not moving. It's having a hard time with the network, probably. That is the camera that I am using to record the context, which is my weekly show. And this is the camera that is recording. This is a webcam, right? I already spoke about this. And these are the lights that are now illuminating the green screen behind me. And we will make sure that the echo is not as heavy as today, and then I will show around the room as well further. All right, so we can go back to me. Thank you, Emil. And I will put this right here. What is funny about the gimbal is that actually you can put it somewhere and it will just keep balancing itself. Okay. I will kick myself out. Okay. So you saw the setup, how it works, and it is a lot of fun to experiment and see what are the limits of the systems that we are using. One of the things that I am now trying to see how I can do is to actually have multiple languages at the same time. Basically, I want some simultaneous translator to volunteer in these experiments and have the person speak, for example, in Spanish while I am speaking in English, and stream the audio in Spanish together with the video of me without hearing my words, and have two streams, for example, on YouTube at the same time. One of them with my audio in English and the other with the translator's audio in Spanish. And of course, on the second one, to have a banner that says simultaneous translation in Spanish. If you want the English channel, go there. And the other one will say, si ustedes habla español, por favor, choose the other channel, right? The Emiliano is asking, what is the arcade cabinet? Yeah, it is an arcade cabinet. We will talk about it another time in detail. I will show you the games and all the things. It is running an emulator, right, with all the arcades. So the next step, naturally, is going to be to have captions and translated subtitles so that my English words can be read in real time by, for example, people who are hard of hearing, or just by people who are learning English and they appreciate the possibility, the ability to read at the same time. Some platforms already do this. Let me try and show it to you in real time. I made a test earlier today, so probably I will be able to bring it up quite rapidly. And I only need to share the screen, which Emil cannot do. Oh, actually, we were discussing this just to illustrate the flexibility of my team, right? It is 7 o'clock in Italy right now, and at 4 o'clock, so 3 hours ago, I told them what I wanted them to do. And I didn't even ask them what their dinner habits are, so I don't know whether they usually have dinner at 7 o'clock, and I disrupted that. But I didn't even have to ask, are you ready, are you willing? They were ready and willing. So hats off. I am very happy to see their flexibility and eagerness. Okay, so this is Google Meet, right? And other platforms do this as well. Skype, I believe, too. So when you join Google Meet, you have the ability, you see here in the corner, lower right corner, to turn on captions. And of course, you have to speak very clearly, and you have to know what you are saying without a lot of interruptions. What is interesting about the system is that it is not only very precise, but that it also tries to insert punctuation marks. You see that it puts a full stop at the end of a sentence. And it will make mistakes. For example, it uselessly transformed the words into the symbol, and it shouldn't have. But it is very fast and it is very reliable. And of course, if the alternative is for somebody who is deaf to not be able to follow a webinar, then even if there are some mistakes, it is invaluable in terms of inclusivity and participation. So as you see, this works as well, and it can be used. So much today, it is just a question of knowing about it and then to have the desire and the ability to do the first step. The barriers to adoption of these technologies and these platforms are literally zero. There are no barriers. So if you learn about them, then adopting them is or should be the same thing. And then discover maybe a week later that there is something better, or that you don't need it, or that it doesn't work exactly the way you expected. That is fine. But not to try and not to earn the experience of having tried is criminal. Of course, what is the next step with that captioning? It is the ability of taking the caption, feeding it to Google Translate, and then obtain the Spanish translation and show it on the screen. And there are so many things that that can be done. I already identified a system that is actually integrated to do exactly that. It is, I don't know if it is the best. I just Googled it, and it has an entire environment to enable you to configure an event where you will be generating and translating captions, and then showing them on a live stream in real time. Let me just share the screen quickly as well. On the Chrome tab, here we go. So the platform that allows you to design and define an event where the captions are going to be generated is called Stream Text. And I just learned about it 2 hours ago, so I have no idea of all the details. But it is it looks pretty powerful in terms of flexibility, security, and it also works already with a team, right? You can define various roles, customers, staff, all the things that that you would expect. What I didn't find yet is what is the equivalent of RTMP, real-time messaging protocol, that is used for streaming the video. I would expect that there is the equivalent for streaming the text, right, of the caption. It should be trivial. And I hope there is, and it can be used well. So those are going to be the next steps. Now, I started this 2 weeks ago, right? And I started it as an experiment, and I started sharing it on the various platforms, and I said I'm learning and I want to learn with you, etc. And then I spoke about the fact that digital events are real as well, and they have to have value. They have to have a sustainable value. And then something like the EXO World came about, which actually is a paid digital event and I invite you to check it out. Go to this URL to receive a huge discount from almost $600 down to $147 for 3 days of digital extravaganza. And more information is going to be available because it is all being put together as we speak. It is itself an experiment. Now, what is amazing is that I am being contacted by people who want to organize digital events in order for me to help them. And I am delighted. Of course, I will help them. And I will also provide my content talking about decentralization and blockchain and network society and the acceleration, the increasing acceleration of certain technologies like artificial intelligence or quantum computing, as well as the many other themes that I typically talk about at conferences. But the lesson here is that the world is ready. If you put yourself out with all your mistakes, with all your vulnerabilities, with all your attempts and tests and experiments, the world is there to seek solutions together with you. And if you don't do that, it is guaranteed that nothing will happen, right? There are 8 billion people in the world, and nobody will come to you without knowing you, without ever having heard from you or about you, or what are your passions or talents or skills, or what skills you are acquiring as we speak. If you don't share that, nothing will happen. But if you do, something will happen guaranteed. And then it is up to you to filter, to say, oh, for example, I just received a message from an Instagram account saying that they looked at my Instagram profile. Can they please republish the photos on my account on theirs? And normally I would have said yes. As a matter of fact, I publish my content under a Creative Commons license, and we will talk about what Creative Commons is and why reforming the intellectual property system of patents, copyrights, and trademarks is very important, and how smart Creative Commons is in pre-negotiating intermediary agreements between public domain on one hand and full copyright on the other. So whatever they are, I would have the desire to share that content, but then I looked at the profile that asked to have my photos, and it has nothing to do with anything I do. It is about luxury brands and luxury lifestyles, all fine, nothing against it, nothing illegal, nothing preposterous. It's just completely meaningless related to the things that I talk about, right? So I said no. And that is fine. Whatever opportunity comes, you also can say no. But the privilege of saying no only comes if those opportunities pile up because you put yourself out. And hopefully in a meaningful way, right? In a way that creates value to yourself and to others, that is as joyful as I am trying to be together with all of you, as joyful as Emiliano is saying, careful, David, one of the books on behind your back is about to fall down. And those of you who joined the stream recently will not understand why this is a joke. And the reason is because there are no books, or the books are actually hidden behind the green screen. So yeah, there may be one or more books falling down, but certainly not from the picture that I took. But thank you, Emiliano, for the joke. I absolutely appreciate it. All right. So today we saw two things. Number one, we saw the green screen functionality, and we made some tests with them. And number two, we saw how team directing works, and you met part of my team, Emil and Mauro, who I invite to say hello again. Mauro, say hello.
Hello.
All right. Emil told me that he's connected from he's connected from his PC tower, and he doesn't have a webcam connected to it, so that is why he's not showing his wonderful face. Chila from Hungary is hoping that the ceiling is stable, and even though there are earthquakes in Italy, the area where I am talking to you, Bergamo, doesn't get a lot of earthquakes, at least not until now. So the ceiling should be fine. Okay, so, an important thing, actually, I forgot. I must share another tab with you because this is actually fun, I hope. It is something that I put together just recently. So I am, of course, calling my various friends, people I met over the course of the past 30 years to be guests on Searching for the Question Live. But I think it would be fun if they were not just the people that I pick. So if you go to the URL davidorban.com/searching for the question live/guest vote, and this should appear as a banner on the screen momentarily, then you will be able to both vote on the names of people that you may be familiar with, as well as you will be able to add names of your own picking. You can vote on multiple people, and this will be ongoing. We will just take off names of people that already were here. And if you go to Searching for the Question Live, there is a description of the show and a playlist of previous episodes, automatically updating, and a growing list of things that you can do. Come to the Discord community, subscribe to YouTube, become a supporter on Patreon, and if you have been invited as a guest, you can pick the date that you want to be a guest, making sure that our respective calendars work together. Also, we created individual pages searching for the question live. 14, for example, is the page dedicated to the episode we had yesterday with Salim. And what we are planning to do here is to collect a lot of useful stuff here on each of the pages of each of the episodes, right? So it will contain the edited transcript of the episode, but it will contain also a summary of the episode. It will contain, for example, pointers to the books that are mentioned, or the people that are mentioned, or the quotes, creating relationships of meaning and value around all of that. So please go to the URL to vote on the guests that you would like to see in future episodes, suggesting new ones, and voting on the ones that are already on the list. Of course, I can't guarantee that they will come, but we will make our best to do so. I'm glad that I remembered to show you this and share it with you. Thank you for being with us on this episode of Searching for the Question Live, and I will see you tomorrow. This is where Emil should be starting. Oh, no, he can't. I must be starting the thing. Can he? Yes, he can't, because I must share the tab in Chrome. You see? This is something that I was trained to do before I relaxed. And there you go. Now I can start it, and he can put it full screen. And there you go.